I was asked, what short answer can I provide? Something like two things to remember when it comes to obsessions, two things to note when it comes to obsessions. And the person told me that they have an obsession for breasts. And I was like, I need to make a short answer. That's not always typical of me. But I said, okay, a lot of times we deal with these things, yes. We probably don't know how to define an obsession or a fetish or whatever you want to call it, but you know it's bugging you. It's there. It's a repetitive behavior. I did a few videos, I think, about the such, but it's okay. In short term, what someone suffers from is not the point itself. You are not obsessed with breasts or with pornography or with whatever it might be that you're obsessing with. You're actually obsessing about something else. First and foremost, usually all obsessions are more or less an escape mechanism from something, a reality that you think is unescapable, and you find this relief in a certain practice. Maybe smoking, maybe weed, or whatever else you ended up doing. For a moment, you thought that you escaped the problem because you were distracted from it, and now that became holier than your holy book. Yes? Because now you're doing that, even if the reality changed, even if you no longer have that problem. You have invested so much memory, so much time. Yes, you've invested so much energy, so much time into that. You have created a lot of memory regarding that and regarding a feeling of safety against that problem that your body now takes it as imperative. That is why a lot of people relapse. They may cognitively give up on something, even emotionally or psychologically, but still, suddenly, out of the blue, they're doing that thing that they were once doing, and they just wake up having done that. Yes, it's like they were taken control of, and they did it, and well, afterwards they became, well, fully conscious of their body yet again. And obviously, shame and guilt will obviously hit. Now, this is another point because a lot of people can get dependent on feeling guilty, yes, on the remorse. They end up feeling some emotion in the feeling of guilt that they feel afterwards or in the shame afterwards. Some people are actually chasing that. Yes, they're not necessarily obsessed with whatever they're um, apparently obsessed, but they want the shame and guilt that comes after because it is finally a feeling that they can feel in the deadness that, well, society makes you feel. There's nothing special going on. There's just war and hatred and separation, and that's the whole thing this sick society is promoting in the end. Yes, and obviously cancel culture. So another point, the second point that people have to remember, that oftentimes your obsessions, some people even call these messages from God. Well, you can consider them a bit of a message from beyond because it is not necessarily from God, but it is a reminder. See, when you were born, most likely you did not have those fetishes, but they might actually belong most likely to someone else. Maybe you have certain karma that makes you obsessed with certain things as a sign of balancing certain things or learning a certain lesson. But they can also be something else. Yes, they can be, how to put it, it's funny how at times ideas slip out of your mind exactly when you want to grasp upon them. But no worries. So the point is, what I'm saying, it can be congenital. Yes, it might be, let's not actually use that word, it can be actually ancestral. Yes, but oftentimes it is taken from your parents. Yes, it can be deliberately or specifically from your mother. See, because your parents, technically, you are your parents' DNA. Yes, the two cells combining result you after, well, processes that nature handles. And for a while after you are born, you are going to be breastfed by your mother. In most cases, this happens. In some cases, yes, maybe people end up, well, some women are not capable of breastfeeding. But in the case of women who breastfeed, They have to remember all the time in their life that the milk that they are producing in their body is not just energy, it is information. Yes? And that information you are going to give privately to your child. There's no filter in that. Now, I want to remind people every time you hate something, every time you invest into dense emotions like rejection, hatred, fear, and the such, they are sedimenting themselves within your body. Yes, they are stored by the body. And even modern science is saying that these dense emotions are the main source that lead to your body aging. It's not that if you'd be a Buddha, you'd be immortal. Yes, do not forget, even Jesus and Muhammad and all other great beings on this planet, whether they were enlightened or just warlords, they all passed away. Yes, history never speaks to you about any of those figures. Yes, and also mentions them in the present. Yes, they're all in the past. Their life has ended. Their contract with this world has ended, or whatever way you want to call it. Yes. So, impulses from these people can also be picked up by you based on your vibration. Let's put it like this. But you're not gonna contract dead people's fetishes and the such. They exist within your DNA. Yes. If you look at the world, when the corporatist world came, each and every new generation, though they have not yet experienced the deadness and the boringness of the corporate jobs, each new generation was more resentful towards it, slowly and surely. Because your parents, what they have experienced, as well as their ancestors, all their experiences are there within you. They are somewhat inactive, yes, and you need some experiences of those to have them reenacted. Because technically, if you're thinking a bit, you're not learning anything unless you're forcing yourself intellectually. Yes, you have all those experiences and anything that you may want, that any ancestor of yours has experienced. It is within you. It is deep within you, but it has to be activated. And school wants you to be fully intellectual because intellectual means you're gaining data that you're forcing upon your brain, and you're not even creating any logics in between those. You're just required to remember those, speak it out loud, or write them on a paper when tests come, and then you can literally forget it. And that's why many people finish school, they graduate, and well, guess what? They don't remember shit. Yes? So, this information from your ancestors is actually being passed on upon to you. All their experiences, all their misaccomplishments, obviously, also their emotions as well, their insecurities about the body. Yes, there is a reason why in this world, if not all of the women that I have met and girls had insecurities around their breasts, because each and every body typically holds a certain kind of energy, a certain kind of resentment. Usually, each resentment, each hatred, and the such stores in a certain specific part of the body. Insecurities about a woman's body can also be found within their breasts. And when they are spiteful, the big problem is this. When you're spiteful, when you're angry, when you're in any sort of imbalance, that imbalance will also change the chemistry of your milk. It can actually become toxic. Yes, you can actually ruin the life of your child if you're breastfeeding them with the wrong kind of breast milk. Yes? That is why it can also be a slight difference when they are breastfed by a different woman. But that is for another part. That doesn't matter much. The importance is the strength of the emotion that is within the woman's body when she's breastfeeding, because the quality of the milk will be determined by the quality of your emotions. The quality of life force that will enter your child or children's um, body is determined by the quality of your body as a woman. Yes? So the higher the quality of your body, the higher the chances to invite a life force that will become a genius. All children can be geniuses, but remember, lower quality ones will tend to be more destructive and they will be sought after by society. Yes, because society wants geniuses, but it wants them for their own purposes. Yes? because anything genius has to be controlled, because a genius is something that is easy to control in general. So you have to dim them down. That's why they invented schools. Yes, there's a reason why you see all the genius flunking school and then becoming what they are. So these two are principles that I remind people when it comes to why they might be suffering from something. You might actually suffer from, let's say, a breast fetish, not because your mom was obsessed with or your father. Yes, you may suffer of this because your mother may have had insecurities towards that. Yes, and they were transmitted to you through your being breastfed by her. Now, at the same time, you can get some of these fetishes by simply being around certain people. Yes, maybe the nurse around you had such a problem. Because I have met many girls in my life, and believe me, none of them had immunity in the face of insecurities towards their physical body. Because don't forget, many women present themselves as sluts, and throughout the history, that's kind of been an unfortunate thing. And unfortunately, humanity as a whole have generalized this. It is unfortunately a cruel fate that women live. Because nowadays, as a woman, other women will be usually first, or men, to simply either view them as sluts or to simply regard them so. Yes? Or think about them as that, and even society nowadays is doing a horrible job at this. So, a lot of insecurities are expected within men and women, and some of those may end up within you, because technically you are your parents' DNA, yes, and also your own ancestral and their ancestors' DNA, yes, because they are the product of their ancestors' DNA as well. And you have your own karma as well. So you can imagine how convoluted the structure of your physical, emotional, psychological bodies are, with all that information suddenly also existing within. You cannot live without that. But in time, you can learn how to detach yourself from those, slowly and surely. That is the purpose of spirituality, as opposed, for example, to religion or the such. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated, take care, enjoy life. And this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.